Hey everybody, Mario here, otherwise known as Y2 on the interwebs, and welcome to another edition of the 52 Review. Alright, I don't have a lot of time to waste. I got a stack of 8 different DC New 52 comics this week, which of course would be the week of May 16th, 2012. Nailed it. And I don't have a lot of time to waste, because there's 8. So let's get right to it with Birds of Prey, number 9. Holy crap! We got a storyline that I can actually understand. Wow. So Scott Snyder's magic has rubbed off on Birds of Prey. And we got, well, it's not one of the best crossover storylines with the Night of the Owls, but it's not bad. And while I question the decision to start the issue with the Talon fight already in progress, it's not a bad one. And the fact that we kind of got an answer as to the whereabouts of Poison Ivy pretty much meant that it was all awesome. Also, the thing that this series suffers from is the fact that we really didn't get a genuine conclusion to last issue because we had to deal with the Night of the Owls in this issue. So, what happened to the chameleon people and all that? What was that all about? It seems like they just decided to not address it. And I really hope that they go back and address it next issue and, you know, don't want it to be like a non-conclusion like certain Detective Comic storylines have been. Storyline was okay. The artwork by Travel Foreman was pretty good. I actually liked it. I mean, it had a kind of a gritty, late 90s feel. It was okay. Overall, this issue was just that. It was okay. I mean, luckily, Snyder's magic wore off on it. Otherwise, it probably would not have been okay. It probably would have been worse than okay. So, while it's not vital to the Night of the Owls crossover, if you have the opportunity, pick it up. Next up, because I decided to bite the bullet this month, Catwoman, number 9. So I know what you're thinking, but Mario, or Y2M, didn't you drop Catwoman a long time ago because it kind of sort of sucked? Yes I did. But it was one of the series that was going to be involved in the Night of the Owls crossover event. And I figured, well, what the hell? I mean, some of the other crossovers have been pretty good. I figured Catwoman would be the same. I was totally wrong. I should have never picked this up. It totally sucks. I should have picked up Red Hood and the Outlaws instead. So to save on time, let me tell you the 3 main points about this one. The story was paper thin, about as thin as a deli slice of bologna. The artwork looked like someone drew it while they were on some sort of illegal substance. And the Talon was a bit of a crybaby. I mean, maybe they were trying to make us sympathetic to his plight, but it just came up as a whiner. This story sucked. And I thought that Snyder's magic would rub off on it. Nope. It had no effect. It was a terrible issue. You probably shouldn't get it unless you're a hardcore Catwoman fan. And even then, you could probably pass up on this one because it's like, eh. Next up is Supergirl, number 9. So this is pretty much a continuation of the last issue. Supergirl and her friend, who it turns out is basically got Banshee-like powers and Banshee-like abilities, has to live with her father, who is an evil Banshee. And there's a lot of history that went just in this issue alone, a lot of build-up. And unfortunately, the action got sacrificed because of it. Story's great, though, and the artwork is pretty great as well. It's become an average issue, and the series has kind of become average. Now, it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It just means that they're trying different things, which I commend them for. Just, you know, I don't know. I just wish things had picked up like they did in the World Killers story arc. I know, guys, I know what you're going to say, and I totally agree. Sometimes we just need a little lull or a quiet story or something like that. I'm just saying that the series is suffering a little bit because of that. It's a good issue, though, and a pretty good series, so you might want to check it out anyways. Next up is Batwoman, number 9. So, Batwoman, unlike Catwoman, is actually a pretty good issue. And while Amy Reeder is no longer working on the artwork for the series because of creative differences, we do have a pretty good replacement in Trevor McCarthy. So we carry on with what happened in the last issue, and they're still doing the different time spots. What I mean by that is that they show something, and then they flash back to something, and then they jump to the future of someone else's storyline, and it's a little confusing. although not as confusing as previous issues. I actually understood what was going on, for the most part, this time. I really appreciate what they're trying to do. I just wish they wouldn't do that. I just wish they, I don't know, went a little more linear. Still though, it's a good story, it's great to follow, but I kinda wish it wrapped up now, because we're 9 issues in, and it just, I don't know, it's starting to drag a little bit. Just a little bit. Batwoman has suffered a few hits, and I was about to boot it off my top 6 list, but it's still barely hanging there by a thread, and I'm hoping something happens that will just bump it back into its secure spot, instead of just loosely hanging there. It's a pretty good issue in a series that I know can be way more stellar, and I'm hoping that it'll get there real soon. Pick it up. Next up is Wonder Woman number 9. Holy crap, what a fantastic issue that Brian Azzarello wrote. So for all intents and purposes, Wonder Woman did more or less get defeated last issue, and now has to become Hades' bride. Because she kept a promise. She was trying to fulfill a promise, and she has to keep it. Because, you know, that's kind of the honorable woman that Diana is. However, it just looks to me like it's too easy for Hades. Like, Wonder Woman gave in way too quickly and has become quite submissive. So, that is highly out of character, and I'm wondering if this is some sort of plan of deception on Diana's part. But at the same time, she's kind of not known for deception and more for the direct fist-in-face approach. So, that's kind of not Diana's thing either. So, I don't know what's going to happen in the next issue. Tony Akins' artwork is pretty awesome. It took me a couple of issues to get used to it, but it seems appropriate for the tone of this series. I have to say, this is still one of the finer runs of Wonder Woman I've managed to read. And I will admit, I haven't exactly read a lot of Wonder Woman throughout the years, but I've had my flavors, most of them bad. And this one, I'm really enjoying. I really do not regret taking a chance on. I'm really enjoying this run, and I cannot wait till the next issue. Pick this one up. Next up, Green Lantern Corps number 9. So the title's a little misleading. What else is new? Alpha War continues, when it really should say Alpha War actually begins in this issue. So we got a little bit of build-up last issue, and the truth behind Jon Stewart's act of desperation came to light, specifically green light, this issue. And the Alpha Lanterns are like, yep, we're totally going to arrest you, man. Spoilers. But of course, not every Green Lantern's just going to let that happen. And I think we all know which one is really not going to let that happen. So things go really, really south for the Lanterns. And no surprise to anyone at this point, this is all some sort of piece of the plan that the Guardians are doing. Because, as they're continuing to prove, they are little dicks. It's a pretty great issue, though. And this series has been a little bit underestimated, I feel. But it adds over to the Green Lantern mythos. You know, when it's not about Sinestro or Hal. You should read this. It's a good issue, it's a good run. Next up, Nightwing number 9. What an amazing issue of Nightwing. We really get to find out a lot more about William Cobb, his great-grandfather, and why he feels disappointed in Dick's choices in life. We find out a crap ton about William's past and why he decided to do what he did and why he feels what he feels. And I totally appreciate that. And we also get a little bit of monologue from Dick's point of view, which, again, normally I feel like they'd be going on overkill right now, but this is actually really working for the series, in the series' favor. This is one of the few crossovers that I feel does not feel like a crossover. You understand what I'm saying? Like, this feels like a natural continuation or its own story arc, but part of the Nightwing brand. That's how I feel about it. It just so happens to tie in to Night Out of the Owls. Kyle Higgins is doing some great work with the story, with the writing. I really appreciated that. I really loved this issue, and I loved the last one. And just the way it concluded, it concluded as you would expect, or as you would guess, but there's just some things that are just left hanging in the air. And that's really what I wanted. So I'm really happy with how this issue played out. This is another underrated series, I feel, and I feel people should definitely give Nightwing a look-see. It is really a great series, and you should check it out. And finally, Justice League number 9, my pick for this edition of the 52 review. So, this new story arc, this Rise of the Villain story arc, I'm pretty sure that's not what it's called, but I'm calling it that. Man, it is becoming a little dark and pretty intense. It's looking to be a really great story. I mean, and also we get to see the bonds that are just tightening between the League, and why you don't really see anyone else as part of that exclusive club, I guess, for lack of a better term. I'm so glad that Jim Lee is back. He has been sorely missed. I'm really glad for that. This is really great. This is totally fantastic, and I'm already starting to get a few guesses as to who the villain, the guy that's behind all the nasty stuff that happened in this issue, could be. I'm pretty sure I'm right, but again, who knows? Things are going to look pretty bad for the League real soon, because, well, as poor Steve Trevor's finding out, sometimes people will just get desperate and cough up anything. Minor spoiler. So who knows how this is going to play out, but let's just say that things are going to hit a roadblock real soon for the League. And the Shazam backup, it's really pretty cool. We're still in the early stages. We're still not quite there to the actual point of origin, but we're getting there. We're approaching that point. And I've been following it, and I'm really hoping that the backup, or rather the character in the backup, will play somehow into the main story arc real soon. This was such a great issue. Not the best one in the Justice League run, but this is kind of the issue that I know a lot of people have been hoping for, and I love it. Pick it up. Alright guys, that's it for me. If you have any thoughts, questions, comments, or whatever, just post them down in the commentary plot. As always, I read them, and I do try to get back to most of them. Alright, I gotta go. It's still pretty hot, so I gotta deal with the heat. Until next time, live nerdcore, Y2M out.